Bro, American Airlines. I had a connecting flight in Dallas. I'm stuck in Dallas. I'm fucking pissed, bro. What the am I gonna do in fucking Dallas? Square dance? I don't even know where there's baggage claim. My bag was supposed to be. Bro, I'm so
So we got there, we're on the ground, they turn off the plane. At this point, the plane is full of smoke. They told us the safest air to inhale is by your feet. So people have their heads by their feet. Some people are like this, some people had masks on. Flight attendants are crying.
This video is for American Airlines and American Airlines only. I got a bone to pick with you right now. Today I had a flight. That flight was from Dallas to New York. We get on the plane, we take off, we're flying. We were 30 minutes out from landing, and then they gave us an announcement that they are running out of fuel.
Unless I'm held at gunpoint, I don't think I'll ever be flying American Airlines ever again.
I know everybody's talking about gas right now, but have y'all seen these flight prices? Like, every time I go to book a flight, I get in a bad mood. I have to close the browser, and I got it. Oh!
Millions of Americans are saying the same thing about flying. It has become unbelievably expensive, increasingly unreliable, and somehow more stressful every time they do it. People are opening their phones and sharing stories about tickets that used to cost a few $100s suddenly running into the thousands. They're showing flights delayed for 6, 10, sometimes 15 hours. Others say their flights were canceled altogether, only to be offered another one several days later, as though spending 3 extra nights in an airport city is a minor inconvenience everyone can afford. And normally, you could look at any one of these stories and say that person was just unlucky. Flights get delayed, weather happens, airports are chaotic. But when you listen to enough people describing nearly identical experiences, it becomes difficult to keep calling them isolated incidents, especially when one of the largest budget airlines in America has now disappeared completely. Because what happened to that airline may help explain why flying in America suddenly feels more expensive, more unpredictable, and for millions of people, no longer worth the trouble.
This video is for American Airlines. If you are not American Airlines, you can keep scrolling. Explain to me how this is legal, okay? I boarded my flight at 4 p.m. and they kept us on the aircraft for 4 hours, okay? Stand still before deboarding us. It is now 11 p.m. and there's no agent, no one here. We're just sitting here like fucking idiot. And my only suitcase is on the plane, so I can't leave. I have nothing on me, not even my keys to the house. The gate next to us just announced that their flight is canceled until tomorrow morning. So I'm concerned that our flight is gonna be canceled till tomorrow morning and I am essentially homeless. The best part is I call an American Airlines agent on the phone, explain the situation, and he essentially tells me that the next available flight to Miami from New York is on Monday. It's Saturday. Weather is out of people's control, but communication is not. And this is absolutely wild. I feel like Tom Hanks in that movie where he can't leave the airport. Maybe I just live here now.
This video is for American Airlines and American Airlines only. I got a bone to pick with you right now. Today I had a flight. That flight was from Dallas to New York. We get on the plane, we take off, we're flying. We were 30 minutes out from landing, and then they gave us an announcement that they are running out of fuel. And because of that, they're gonna have to land in Philadelphia. So we land in Philadelphia, and they said, okay, we're gonna have to go to one of the little holding spots to get fuel. So we land, we go over to the little holding space, and we're waiting for fuel. It took 45 minutes for the fuel to get started. No announcements whatsoever. Then there was an announcement that the fuel was started, and we're good to go. So we start pushing back. As we start pushing back, they make an announcement that there's a chance that the pilots and the crew might time out and their day might have to end, which would keep us from being able to fly. But they said that as long as they take off within the next hour, we'll be good. So they told everybody on the plane, they're like, we're pretty confident that we can get off of the ground before our time's up. We're all good. So we push off, we go over to the tarmac where you take off, and we're waiting. And we're waiting, and we're waiting, and we're waiting. And then, not an hour later, 30 minutes later, they come on the intercom and they say, hey, we're timed out, we gotta go back to the gate. That obviously sucks. At this point, I'm just looking at train tickets because the train is an hour from Philadelphia to New York. But this is where it gets ridiculous. We get back to the gate because now I'm getting off the plane. They said, no, don't worry. We have a new pilot flying in from Chicago and he just got here. He'll be here in 45 minutes. So we're sitting there waiting for the pilot and everyone's getting a little bit restless, including myself in fairness. So we're thinking to ourselves, we're like, can we just get off of the plane? Like, I'll just take a train, it's fine. I'm an hour away. They're like, no, you cannot get off the plane. I said, okay, I can't get off the plane, I'm just gonna sit here. So then I sit down and they come on the intercom again and they're like, hey, so if anybody wants to get off the plane, that's fine, but your bags are gonna fly with this flight. Meaning you will not get your bags for a couple of days, maybe a little over a week, because you'll have to mail them to yourself or go get them at the airport in New York. So a lot of the people didn't check in bags. I did. So all the people who just have carry-ons get up and they start getting ready to get off the plane because they just told us that that's allowed. They get on the intercom again. They go, just so that you know, we have an agent who's going to have to write down every single person's name who is choosing to get off of the plane. And then we'll let the captain on, and then we'll push back. Half the plane was getting ready to leave. So they're writing down names one by one. This takes 30, 40 minutes. So everyone's getting off. I sat back down because I don't want to have to go back to the airport to get my check back.
Please do not leave the boarding area. The new flight attendants have been assigned. We just don't know where they are, so they should be here shortly.
Did you hear that? We haven't even gotten to this part of the story yet. So then, after 30 minutes of them writing down random people's names, they get back on the intercom. They're like, actually, we're deboarding everybody, so everyone needs to get up and get off. So we deboard, we get to the gate where we're gonna eventually have to get back onto the plane, and they tell us that if you have checked bags on the plane, you have to wait here until we find a new pilot and a new crew. And you can't go anywhere unless you wanna have to go mail your luggage to yourself. And now they just told us, right now, that the new flight attendants were assigned, but they don't know where they are. So, American Airlines, get in the comments, figure it out, help me out.
Once the flight attendants get here, sign will tell us it's okay, we will start reboarding. So please, pull your boarding passes back up if you need to.
I'm gonna lose my mind.
One person in the comments wrote, America is a third world country. Another asked the question almost everyone was thinking. Why would a plane take off without enough fuel to reach its destination? And then there was the comment with nearly 8,000 likes, pointing to the larger issue of airline accountability. We'll come back to that, because part of that comment is true, and part of it needs correcting. But first, what both of these men experienced says a lot about what flying in America has become. In the first story, the passenger is only 30 minutes from New York when the plane diverts to Philadelphia for fuel. Now, we cannot know from a TikTok whether the aircraft literally left Dallas without the required amount of fuel. Weather changes, holding patterns happen, and planes sometimes divert for operational reasons. But that is almost beside the point, because when passengers are told that the aircraft needs to land because it is running out of fuel, and then receive little explanation afterward, the airline has already lost control of the story. Everyone on board is left to imagine the worst. Then the situation turns into a chain reaction. The plane gets fuel, but the crew is close to timing out. A replacement pilot is supposedly coming. Passengers are told they can leave, but their bags may continue without them. Half the plane starts deboarding, names are written down one by one, and then everyone is ordered off anyway. After all of that, the airline apparently has a pilot but cannot locate the replacement flight attendants. At that point, this is no longer one delay. It is several different failures piling on top of each other while the passengers are given a new version of the plan every 30 minutes. And that is what makes the second man's story so revealing. He says he spent 4 hours sitting on a stationary aircraft, only to be released into an airport with no agent, no clear answer, and no access to the suitcase containing his house keys. Customer service then tells him the next available flight may be Monday. It is Saturday. His line about communication is the heart of this entire issue. Weather is outside the airline's control, but communication is not. Passengers understand that storms happen. They understand that crews have legal working limits and that safety must come first. What people cannot accept is being trapped inside a process where nobody seems to know the plan, yet the passenger is still expected to remain calm, stay nearby, protect the booking, cover any extra expenses, and somehow be ready whenever the airline finally figures it out. That is where the balance of power becomes impossible to ignore. The airline controls the aircraft, the schedule, the information, and often the luggage. The passenger carries almost all of the consequences. The missed meeting is yours. The hotel room is yours. The extra meals are yours. The lost workday is yours. And if you decide the entire situation is no longer worth it, even leaving can become complicated because your belongings are still inside the system. Now, about that highly liked comment claiming the Biden administration made airlines compensate passengers for delays and cancellations before the Trump administration reversed it, that is not exactly what happened. The Biden administration proposed a rule that could have required airlines to pay cash compensation for major disruptions caused by something within the airline's control. But the rule was never finalized. The Trump administration later withdrew the proposal after strong opposition from the airline industry. So American passengers still do not have a broad federal right to cash compensation simply because a domestic flight is severely delayed. You may be entitled to a refund if the airline cancels and you choose not to travel, but a refund for a service you never received is not the same as compensation for the hotel, food, missed work, and hours of disruption created around it. And maybe that is why these videos are connecting with so many people. The anger is not just about one late flight. It is about paying more and more money to enter a system where, the moment something goes wrong, nearly all of the risk is transferred back onto you. And these were only the first two stories. Because as we continue, the experiences become even more disturbing, and the question shifts from how flying became this frustrating to how much chaos passengers are now expected to accept as normal. Let's watch some more.
Unless I'm held at gunpoint, I don't think I'll ever be flying American Airlines ever again. Clearly not home. I'm actually stuck in a random hotel in Texas somewhere. My trip was fun, but American Airlines has literally made my life a living hell since I stepped foot into the airport. So let's rewind back to last week. Flight was canceled. Then I got on another flight, but it was 10 hours away. But I was just you know what, whatever. I'm just gonna stay at the airport. It's fine. They already have my bags checked in. It'll make it to Seattle. So I finally get to Seattle after a 20+ hour travel day. I wait for 2 hours because the Seattle airport is under construction right now and they have multiple airlines pushing their bags out to only a couple baggage claims. I waited for hours. I was maybe my flight didn't make it on here yet. There's so many bags. It's so crowded. Whatever. I'll just wait. No bag. Literally didn't find my bag for 5 days. I had to go to Target and spend a bunch of money on toiletries and underwear and just simple basic clothes to wear because they literally didn't even scan my bag. They found it 5 days later after someone at the airport scanned it. They shipped me my bag. I'm going throughout the rest of my trip. I get to the airport today. Flight from Washington to Texas and then from Texas to Florida. As soon as I get to the airport, I get a notification that my flight was delayed and that I would be missing my connecting flight back home. Go up to the kiosk, I give them my bag, and the lady's basically you're just gonna have to figure it out in Dallas. There's too much going on right now. We can't accommodate you. You may still get on your flight. It might get delayed. Okay, whatever. Let me check my bag. I put my bag down and she goes, it's overweight. And I'm I'm not paying for that. I literally spent so much money on getting clothes and I'm not paying $50 extra. Can you guys at least take that off? No, we can't do that. That's not our issue. And you're going to have to call customer service after all of this. Oh my God, you can't even waive this fee? Fine. Here's my money. Just get me on this flight back home. I'm so sick of this. Of course, I get to my gate. It's delayed for 3 hours. I'm sitting there. And of course, it doesn't fly in till another hour. And I don't get here until 3 hours past my flight that's supposed to go home. The customer service desk to try to figure out when my next flight is. And the minute I walk up there, confirmation code. Oh, hi, nice to see you. You just wrecked my whole entire vacation. I don't have a flight until tomorrow morning. They will not accommodate me for a hotel. I had to pay for this out of pocket. They won't give me a food voucher. They said they wouldn't even sit me in the lounge. I asked for anything. No, they couldn't do it because this was a weather issue and it wasn't their problem. It was my issue now because of the weather. So now I'm sitting in a random hotel eating Taco Bell at 1 a.m. out of pocket. Because of the weather. Hundreds of dollars in clothes. I had to pay extra for my bag to get on the flight that I don't even have. I literally don't even have a hairbrush right now. Thank God I was smart enough and packed an extra pair of clothes because I knew the stuff that happened to me before this, but I'm so done. Making this video to give you a little warning, do not fly American Airlines. I know that there are people that can't afford to sleep in a hotel. I know that they can't afford to be paying for a bunch of extra food out. This is absolutely insane and they need to stop treating their paying customers like this. And they need to train customer service to treat their paying customers better. They make so much money. There shouldn't be an issue for me to get a voucher for food or to sit in your lounge or accommodate me at a hotel. Absolutely insane. I would never, ever, ever recommend flying with them. Anyways, we're gonna start this journey again tomorrow. I pray that I make it there safe. I'll keep you updated. But yeah, I just want to make this video to warn you.
I would rather chew glass than fly American Airlines ever again in my entire fucking life, and I'm not even being facetious. What do you mean in one trip, 72 hours, okay? We have first we get the app with the wrong terminal. Good thing I know my own airport because they're not fucking close together. Then we get on the plane, doesn't have the entertainment shit, whatever, fine. You're charging too much money to have that shit, but it's not a problem. Get on the second plane, right? Tiny fucking plane, little bitty, no working bathrooms. 3 hours between onboarding, plane, and deplaning. 0 working bathrooms. I've seen flights be delayed because like a fucking buckle doesn't clip right and an armrest is broken, but apparently bathrooms are not a necessary function to have. That was where we started. Now today I'm flying back home, or I'm trying to. I'm at Pearson. I come in that time. I get the alert, right, that our flight is being delayed. Okay, fine. Offering rebooking options. Rebooking options the devil himself would not have concocted. What do you mean there's 4 fucking stops? What do you mean I have to make a transfer plus 2 more transfers? Why would I go to LaGuardia to Miami to come back up to Orlando? What is that? Because there are no direct flights. Whatever. I'm like, you know what? I did the math, and I was like, this, I could risk it. If I run, I could probably make my connection. Let's just see what happens. I'll get to Philly. I'll decide from there, right? Okay, so I choose not to rebook. I'm not the only one who chose that, but there are plenty of people who are like, oh my God, I have to rebook because I'm gonna miss my connection. So they did. At no extra cost, they chose the devil's options. 15 minutes before the original boarding time, we get an update that, guess what? Surprise, not delayed. Not delayed. So I run my ass from the lounge that I'm at down to the fucking basement, because that's where we're boarding from, to find out that we're not boarding. It's not delayed anymore, but there's no fucking plane. So they're trying to tell us, like, yeah, we're gonna start boarding in 5 to 10 minutes. We don't have a plane to get on. Listen, I'm not a pilot, but I'm pretty sure we need one of those to fucking fly somewhere. So I'm like, this is so curious to me. And then they make an announcement that, like, oh, actually, it's not gonna be 5 to 10 minutes, but the plane is on its way. It's on its way from Washington. So then we'll be boarding within 20. I'm like, okay, last time I checked, we have to wait for the plane to get here, for everyone on it to deplane, for you to clean the fucking plane, for the flight to do their safety checks, and then we get on the plane. I've never seen that be done in 20 minutes in my fucking life, but maybe, you know, we're living in a fantasy world. Plane gets here. People get off plane. Flight's still not delayed, but we are 30 minutes past the point where we're supposed to be onboarding, right? So I'm like, when are you going to let us know that it's delayed? And then they let us know that it is delayed, but only by a little bit. So now we're going to leave at 1:15, right? Except that they said they don't know where the flight crew is. The reason for the delay is that they cannot locate the entire flight crew. I'm like, okay, sure. So now it's delayed again, because in that message it was, oh, but connections are still fine. Then it gets delayed again. Now connections are not fine. We're back to the original delayed. So we've gone delay, revert, minor delay, minor-ish delay, and now we're back to regular delay. And then then we're delayed again. So now we are leaving later, after 2 p.m., guaranteed to miss a connection. So my plan to, like, I'll just figure it out when I get, and now I don't have a choice. I have to figure it out when I get to Philly, because the options that are available now with the second further delay are worse than the original one. So I could get home sometime tomorrow morning if I want to fly all over the fucking country and trust that American Airlines isn't going to be delayed from those connections too. The fuck do you mean? Figure your shit out. No bathrooms. Your app is shit. Your offers are awful. Fucking, you don't know where your flight crew is. You're trying to board a plane without a plane? Get the oh, this was a free flight, and I'm paying for it, and I'd never again. It's costing me so much. Have a day.
Hi, I was on flight 543 from Newark to West Palm last night, and I'm going to tell you exactly what happened as a passenger. So we started taking off and everything was fine. I was in a window seat. I was in 14A, watching us ascend into the air. We reached like 10,000 feet, and then all of a sudden there was a huge boom, and I'm looking out the window and I see a large red, like, whatever. It starts to smell like fire. Everybody's freaking out. The flight attendants grab fire extinguishers and they're running up and down the aisle saying, fire, fire, fire. They're looking inside the cabin because they thought maybe the fire was coming from inside, like maybe from a lithium battery. But me and other people literally saw, like, the engine catch on fire. The pilots come on the speaker and say, hi, like, have an engine failure, we're going back to Newark, and there's going to be fire department and ambulance, and everybody's going to be there. So we got there, we're on the ground, they turn off the plane. At this point, the plane is full of smoke. They told us the safest air to inhale is by your feet, so people have their like heads by their feet. Some people are like this, some people had masks on. Flight attendants are crying, flight attendants have masks on, like this is their first time living too. And they turn off the plane, we're sitting there, it's filling up with smoke, we're like, what is going on? Finally the flight attendant comes on the loudspeaker, easy Victor, seatbelts off, evacuate. And everyone's like, what? And it's dark, everybody tears off their seatbelts, starts stampeding to the front and to the back. We get to the front end, the flight attendant's like, go on the slides, either way. We had no idea we were getting off on slides. Everybody's jumping down the slides. Keep in mind, we're going to West Palm, so there are so many old people, so many babies on this plane. I have no idea how they got down the slides. Once we got onto the ground safely, everybody was okay. People got evaluated, some people passed out, some people had chest pain from the smoke. They put us on buses and we went back to our gate. We're at our gate, there's like 2 stewardess there. People are pissed, like, where is everybody else? The stewardess are like getting screamed at because all we got was a $12 voucher at this point. People are trying to rebook for the same night. People are trying to rebook for the next day. Newark Airport is closed until 11 p.m. because of our flight that was on the ground. They don't know what happened, why the fire started, why we were filling up with smoke, but it smelled like an electrical fire. So in my opinion, which who knows if that's correct, I think that the engine caught on fire. Don't know. We're sitting there, then they finally tell us they're going to bring back the plane and then they're going to take all of our belongings off the plane and give them to us row by row. An hour goes by, they finally bring the plane over, legit, like to the gate, with ambulances and fire trucks following, and they finally start unloading the luggage. As they're unloading the luggage, me and the person I was traveling with receive an email that they rebooked us on a flight at 9:45 from Newark to Fort Lauderdale. Keep in mind, we were flying to West Palm originally. It was 9:30 p.m. and this was a 9:45 flight that is already boarding. So we're freaking out. They told us that they're going to hold the plane for everybody that's getting on that flight so we can get our bags. So we get our bags, we get on the next plane. Everybody on the next plane is like talking about it. Some people are like, oh my God, like I was always on this flight. I was never on that flight. It was the craziest thing ever. And I don't even know how I got on another plane. I think that it was just like, I'm at the airport. The odds of it happening again were not high, and I think ending on like a positive plane experience was good. The plane was very delayed because we was waiting for everybody's bags, so we took off around like 10:30 and I think we probably landed around 1 a.m. And then we received a email from JetBlue while we were on the plane that we were going to get $150 in a refund for our flight. We also were supposed to get a voucher for an Uber since we were at Fort Lauderdale and now we were not close to West Palm Beach. The vouchers did not work, so I submitted that to be reimbursed. But that is the story as somebody who was a passenger on the flight and who is traumatized. I was in 14A on flight 543.
American Airlines completely ruined my summer trip, and I will never fly them again, especially after the audacity that they have to respond to my complaint in the way that they did. I hate American. Basically what happened is me and my boyfriend were flying from Tampa, Philadelphia, Copenhagen. Right off the bat, from Tampa to Philadelphia, they delayed the flight 45 minutes. After the 45 minutes, they were like, yeah, we're actually just waiting for the pilot. Do you want to know where the pilots were? Grabbing dinner at the Columbia Cafe. Literally dilly-dallying. Put a pep in your step. We're gonna be late. We get on the plane and I'm complaining to the airline people. I'm worried that we're not gonna make the Copenhagen flight. And they were like, no, it's fine. There's 9 of you on this flight. They're gonna wait for you. So at this point, my flight was boarding. I told Jake just to sprint. It's a 0.8 mile run. He sprints. I see Jake slowly walk back to me. what do I see? The plane's still there. And the thingy says delayed. So I go up to the agent. Excuse me, can we get on that? It's still connected to the thingy. And she's like, no, we actually can't do that. Please go rebook your flight with a gate agent. This line for customer service ends up being 32 other people from other delayed American Airlines flights that were trying to get to the Copenhagen flight, and they wouldn't have let us on. We decided we're not going to Copenhagen anymore because it was a 2.5 day trip. Now it was being made to 1.5 days. I was like, I missed my thing. I don't need to go to Copenhagen anymore. And they were like, all right, they need to pay more to go somewhere else. You want more? I'm like, can you at least pay for my hotel tonight? I'm stuck in Philadelphia because of you. And she was like, no, we don't do that. We lost all the money from Copenhagen, all the hotel, my flight from Copenhagen to Athens. Sent this big complaint to American Airlines. Can you guess how they responded? Because I already hated them to the max. My max has been raised. They said, sorry, here's $50. 50. Here's $50. Go have fun. Are you serious? I would have rather you not responded. Do better. Because Delta would never.
All right, this is for American Airlines. This is what the fuck y'all need to do. You pissing me the fuck off. Wi-Fi? Why the fuck I'm paying $1,000 for a first class fucking seat one way? And you charging me $25 fucking for goddamn Wi-Fi? Include the shit. Or do it like Delta, where I could watch a fucking ad and get it for free. 2, if I'm paying this much for a motherfucking bed seat, I bought my sister one too. Have some motherfucking pillows and some blankets. I'm genuinely sick of this penny pinching fucking shit. I'm giving you the fucking money and I give me the fucking class service that I paid for. Y'all need to fucking get checked. Also, on the flight here, in the normal first class seats, not the bed shit, the normal ones, ain't no fucking TVs on the back of the seat. Drop the price then, or give me some motherfucking Wi-Fi for free. How you gonna have no TV and charge me out the ass for Wi-Fi after you charge me out the ass for the fucking seat? Make it make sense. I'm tired of people being too fucking greedy. Come out your fucking pocket, okay? I will fly Delta every single time I get the chance, but occasionally I gotta get on this American fucking shit. You is not my first priority, even when I pay for the priority.
If you're one of the 35 million people who saw the first 2 parts of my war with American Airlines, I have updates, and they are going to piss you off. If you haven't seen the first part, go look for this video on any of my platforms. If you saw the first part but not the second part, look for this video on any one of my platforms. And if you don't feel like doing that, I can sort of sum it up as I was flying from Dallas to New York, and it was supposed to be a 3.5-hour journey. And because American Airlines is insane, I ended up traveling for 12.5 hours. So I put out the first video that was just my experience I was having with American Airlines. And in like 12 hours, it had like 10 million views around the whole world. So then American Airlines was like, oh shit. And they got on the phone with me the next day. So in the second part, you see that phone call and they're like, listen, we saw your video. We're really sorry that you experienced this. We want to make it better. We want to show our apologies and we want to make you understand that like this isn't how we do things. My big thing on that second video was like, there were 300 other people on that flight. Just because I got a video to go viral about my experience doesn't mean that they didn't have that experience. They should be getting the same treatment as any influencer that's on the flight and has a bad experience. And today I got an email that had my travel credit. Are you ready? How are you feeling now? You feeling good now? All right. Don't get used to that. Look at this. $50. $50 for my 12.5-hour trip from Dallas to New York. Mind you, I was looking for flights during this time before all this situation happened. A one-way flight was $550. I took an Uber that costed more than the travel credit that they sent me. I should have listened to one of the 13,000 comments of people being like, this happens every time. They do this every time. Why are you surprised? I shouldn't have been surprised. I should not have expected them to do better. But if they caused every person on this plane to go through the same shit that I went through, and they sent each of them $50, or they didn't, this is just the influencer special, American Airlines, for the love of God, get it together.
At this point, one thing is becoming difficult to ignore. A surprising number of these complaints involve American Airlines. And the frustration is not limited to passengers who bought the cheapest ticket available. Some of these people paid for first class because they believed a higher price would buy them a smoother experience, better communication, and some protection from the chaos elsewhere in the airport. But apparently, paying more does not guarantee reliability. Sometimes it only means you paid more money to be delayed in a slightly wider seat. Because when a flight loses an engine, the crew disappears, or your luggage ends up in another state, the class printed on your boarding pass suddenly means very little. First class cannot locate a replacement aircraft, reopen a closed gate, or tell you where your suitcase went. And that brings us to one of the most disturbing stories so far. A woman describing a flight that lost an engine, followed by chaos inside the cabin and an equally chaotic effort to get everyone off the plane. She said she saw flight attendants crying. Now, that does not automatically mean those attendants were badly trained. Flight attendants are human beings, and losing an engine is an extraordinary situation. We also do not know everything that happened before, during, or after that moment. But passengers watch the crew for clues. If the attendants appear calm, people assume there is a plan. If the crew looks frightened, the emotional temperature inside the cabin can change instantly. Most passengers cannot tell which aircraft noises are routine and which ones signal danger. They are relying on the crew to interpret the situation, give clear instructions, and prevent fear from turning into panic. So imagine realizing something has gone seriously wrong, then seeing the people responsible for keeping everyone calm visibly overwhelmed. Passengers can stop listening, begin grabbing bags, and rush toward exits. In that kind of confusion, elderly people, parents carrying children, and anyone with limited mobility can quickly become vulnerable. That is why composure matters. It is not simply about appearing professional. It is part of the safety system. But this is not really about attacking individual flight attendants. It raises a much larger question. Are airline employees themselves being placed in situations they no longer have the staffing, information, or support to manage properly? Because disruptions rarely stay isolated. One aircraft is taken out of service, delaying its next route. Pilots lose part of their legal working time. Flight attendants are reassigned. Passengers miss connections. Checked bags keep moving even when the people attached to them do not. Then another flight is delayed because it was waiting for that aircraft or crew. The problem spreads to another airport, another departure board, and hundreds more passengers. This is also where travelers reach a psychological breaking point. It is not always the delay itself that pushes people over the edge. It is the complete loss of control. You cannot leave because your luggage is still on the aircraft. You cannot book another flight because nobody has officially canceled this one. You cannot reserve a hotel because the airline keeps saying boarding may begin at any moment. You may not even be able to go home because your keys are inside the suitcase they refuse to return. So you sit there for hours, waiting for information from a company that changes the plan every 30 minutes. And after paying for a hotel, food, transportation, and possibly another ticket, the airline reaches for the solution it seems to offer for everything: flight credit. Your luggage disappeared? Here is a credit. You missed an important event? Here is a credit. You spent hundreds of dollars because the airline failed to get you where you paid to go? Here is $50 toward another flight with the same company that created the problem. That is what makes these credits feel almost insulting. They do not repay the hotel bill or restore the workday you lost. They simply encourage you to return and spend more money with the airline. The company is essentially saying, "We are sorry this experience was terrible. Please come back and purchase another one." And when enough people report lost bags, canceled flights, frightening emergencies, exhausted crews, missing information, and token credits, you have to wonder whether this is still just an airline problem. Or is this simply a reflection of what America has become, where everything costs more, the service keeps getting worse, and the customer is expected to quietly absorb the consequences? Let me know about your own experiences flying in America below. I am genuinely eager to hear them, because judging by these videos, there are a lot more stories out there.